So guys, it's finally time to call our keynote speaker, and let me introduce him with all the good things that he has shared about himself. So Chintan Seth started his Toastmaster journey with ETC from the year 2021. He has served ETC as a VP education in the past. He represented ETC at division level in table topics and speech evaluation contest and area level for prepared speech contest as well. Professionally, he is a clinical researcher and a student of public speaking and effective communication. He is a firm believer in law of attraction. So with this, I would like to hand over to Chintan. Over to you, Chintan. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Can anyone tell, am I audible?
Yes,
yep.
you are.
So Vidushi, may we have the presentation up and running?
Sure, I'll just share my screen.
Yep, sure. So in the meanwhile, I would like all of you to turn on your camera and if possible, turn on your mics, because I don't want to be like a teacher who can just teach and preach. I want your responses. I want to see your faces when we talk and when we discuss. It's not going to be a monologue, but it's going to be a dialogue. And that's how the session would be. So I would like to see as many faces as possible, and keep yourself on mute, speak in between, interrupt me, give me tough time, so that you will be better at evaluation. So I want to see Ayushi, Bhavesh, Shivani, Puneet, Dinesh, and unmute yourself. I don't want to see that muted red colored button on your faces. Yeah. So first of all, how many of you have participated in the evaluation contest? Just raise your hand if you have already participated in the contest. Okay, DTM Pinky has participated, then Yashraj has participated, and we have a bit newer crowd today, and it is good to see the new crowd doing great work at the Toastmasters. So let's start with the beginning. Then let me ask you, how many of you wants to be a good speaker? Raise your hand if you want to be a good speaker. Okay, so I don't see the raised hand for Ayushi. Okay, so now my question is, how many of you want to be a good evaluator? All of you, right? So the secret to be a good speaker is to be a good evaluator, because when you observe the speeches, when you see the speaker doing their speech craft delivery, you will understand that how you can improve. Because when you give an recommendation, when you give commendation to the speaker, the next time when you go on the stage, that tape will run in your mind, and you will yourself implement the commendations and recommendations you had given to the speaker. And that's how someone evolves as a speaker, because they are better at evaluation. So today what I want to share with you is what I have learned, the why, what, and how of effective evaluation. Next slide, please. So why to evaluate? The first thing which comes in our mind is why to evaluate. In my Toastmasters journey, I have seen people who are great evaluators, but they just do whitewash. They use the language with so many flashy words, with empty recommendations. I can say that you could have improved your gestures. I can say that your voice was monotonous. I can say you gave a beautiful speech, and I can get the round of applause. But that's not the motivation a speaker has when it comes to the stage and delivery. A speaker wants to know what you really liked, what can be done to improve, and how the speaker can come again and again on the stage. And that's why I have written 3 things on the screen. The evaluation might elevate the confidence of the speaker. They might elevate their level of public speaking. They might elevate their self-belief that they can deliver well. Or the evaluation can equalize. Today, a speaker at this level, and you keep giving the same evaluation at the end of the year. After 2 membership renewals, the speaker will be at the same level. And we don't want that. And the worst case, I have seen few amazing speakers, when they give evaluations, they bombard the speakers with so many recommendations that eliminates the confidence of the speaker. The speaker never dared to come on the stage because of the fear of recommendations he or she has got in the evaluation section. And our own belief will be destroyed. People will not trust us as an evaluator when we do so. So it is good to be in a community of Toastmasters and learn and grow together. And when we want to do that, we need to uplift others. We want to elevate others with our evaluation. And that's why our evaluation should take the speaker from here to here. And that's the sole goal of an evaluator when you are in a meeting or you are in a contest, delivering or fighting for your space and to get the award. Next slide, please. As I said, the most important thing to be an evaluator is to be a great speaker. Because being an evaluator gives us the opportunity to be a great listener. When you are evaluating someone, you can listen to the words in between the lines. You can see the gestures of the speaker, which might be possible that someone do not notice. Because you need to go on the stage for 2 to 3 minutes and you need to say something which someone has not noticed. And that's why it is very much important that we improve our evaluation skills that enhances our listening and ultimately enhances our speaking ability. Next, please. Now, let me ask you something. Anyone in the club who has already done evaluation at the club level? You must have been the evaluators, right? So unmute yourself and tell me what you observe in a speech. Give the pointers one by one. Anyone?
The hand gestures, body language.
Then?
Tone modulation.
The structure of the speech, opening, body, and conclusion, how they have structured it.
Yeah, that's true. It's on the screen as well. Apart from that?
Confidence.
Confidence. Then what you look for the recommendation? What are the parts you look for the recommendation?
Eye contact. Variety.
Okay.
Stage
Then?
utilization.
Absolutely. Then?
Interaction and audience engagement.
Yes. Then someone said about the speech structure. Now, what specifically you see in a speech structure? Then how you evaluate a speech structure? Can anyone give an example or more detail on it?
Like when we think of the opening of the speech, we just make note whether the speech opening was intriguing for us or for the audience to engage. Then after that, we also note whether the speaker has used a rhetorical question in the opening or say a prop or an interesting fact to hook the audience. So in order to understand the audience interaction in the opening segment of the structure of the speech.
Okay. Then for the rest of the speech, can anyone else want to comment?
Speech is divided in sub-part like part 1 and part 2. And under part 1, there will be a sub-point. So speaker have to cover the speech in a proper structured way that everyone can link that here I am, the part 1, here I am the second part. And during the conclusion, he has to cover the part 1 and part 2 so that everyone can understand all the things in 30 seconds and go from the meetings having a something to learn and to implement.
Great.
Basically, takeaway should be there in the speech at the end.
Yeah. So what you all have said is correct. The first thing which we notice in the speech is the opening. The opening should be attention grabbing. As Jyoti mentioned, it might be a rhetorical question. It might be a shocking truth which put the audience in awe. You throw some statistic in a way that they become hooked to your opening. There might be a joke which can be used. I have seen speakers using song as their opening. So speaker can be as much creative as possible. But as an evaluator, you must notice that how they are opening. When coming to the next part, it's the body of the speech, which is the heart of the speech. We need to make sure what the title is, because sometimes in the speech structure, we forget what was the title. So we need to see whether the title is related to the speech, whether the body is moving towards the title, the key message which was there, and at the end, conclusion. As someone said, there should be a subtle summary of what you already said, not in a way that I am going to summarize my speech, but in a way that everyone should understand what the person has spoken about. One another way to open a speech is to tell a story, because we all have grown up listening to 4 magical words: once upon a time. And as an adult, we generally don't start with that. We might give some example and specific location when it was happened, how it was happened, where was it happened, and that sets the tone of a childhood version of once upon a time. So as an evaluator, you need to observe these things minutely, and we will see how you do it while the speaker speaks and how to take notes when you go on the stage to deliver your presentation as an evaluator. Next slide, please. So the key message. Now, can anyone tell me what is the key message and how we evaluate the key message?
It's the powerful takeaway from the story, or say from the entire speech, that we can derive from the entire story or entire speech content.
True.
So yeah, that's the key message.
Yeah, so it's a key message. Sometimes it comes as a phrase, a repeating phrase, or sprinkled around the speech in a way that we all get a single message from the speech. And sometimes speakers say the call to action at the end, which is relevant to the title. Because remember, whatever the title was, we need to end in a circular way. That's how generally the speeches are. I'm not telling it is the rule, but it is a rule which has been successful for many speakers. So pay attention to this key message, the phrase that pays, the phrase which has been using multiple times, the phrase which was used at the last in the powerful conclusion. The next slide, please. Now, what do you mean by speechcraft or wordsmith? Can anyone say apart from Jyoti? Come on. I don't want to call out names here.
How beautifully the speech content was crafted in terms of number of new words probably which might be there for the audience to learn. Secondly, proverbs or idioms which may enhance the knowledge of audience in terms of vocabulary.
True. Anyone else?
The way we crafted the words in the speech. That's the speech craft.
True. That's really a good definition of speechcraft. And I partially agree to what Pratik has said. And what I don't agree is to use the new words for the audience to learn. You need to know your audience as a speaker, and you need to observe the audience as an evaluator, whether the audience is understanding your words or not, the speaker's words or not. Because when you speak the language which is full of jargon, for example, I am into clinical research, and if I come on the stage and speak in a language of my own profession, someone from IT, when they speak about coding and language, I don't understand that. And that's not what we want as a speaker. And that's what we don't want as an evaluator to see a speaker do. So see how they are using their words. There are many grammatical devices, like Pratik has mentioned, metaphors, anaphora, similes. You can see how great speech can be viewed. They are full of these grammatical devices. And that's how you evaluate the speech craft. Also, part of the speech craft is how much time are they taking? Are they taking enough time in the opening, in the body, in the conclusion? You should be able to dissect the speech and see that whether it was enough to deliver in that particular time, or speaker could have added the content or removed the unnecessary content. So that's the job of an evaluator, to give this valuable feedback to the speaker. Next slide, please. Now, voice. So what do you mean by voice? We all hear that your voice was monotonous. Your vocal variety can be improved. You could have paused a bit. Can anyone say what is vocal variety? What is a pitch?
It's basically how we express our speech in emotion through our vocal variety, which is when it's something exciting, we go in exciting with a high pitch. Like, yeah, I was doing that. And but when it's something to express sorrow, you pitch it down to like, yeah, that happened. And even I start in that. So I know this. That's
True.
what I feel like what his voice is all about.
Yeah. So most of the times evaluator tell that your vocal variety can be improved. Your voice should not be the monotonous voice. But they don't show us in which part of the speech the speaker was monotonous, in which part of the speech the vocal variety can be improved. Because when we go into definition, it's a different ball game. When we see it live, it's a different ball game. We need to tell the speaker specifics where it could have been improved, where the pauses could have been introduced, where he could have shown more facial expressions, rather than giving what is known to be low hanging fruit that every evaluator uses now and then. Next, please. Delivery. Now, when it comes to delivery, we might have seen people doing great stage movement, but they lack in the content. So as an evaluator, it is important for us not to be dazzled by the theatrical artistic performance, but focus on the content as well. Because I have seen few winners, they have done great job on the stage and they have got great marks. But if you see the evaluator ballot, or when you see the criteria of evaluation, content is really a king. You can have body language, but there is an extent to which you need to stop. It should not be converted into a theater. It should not be converted into a performance that the speech objective, speech key message gets lost in the way. And as an evaluator, you need to focus on that. And you need to tell the speaker whether they should amp up their body language or they should tone down their theatrical acts. Next. Now coming to the club evaluations, I would like to tell that see what the speaker's project objective is. I have seen few evaluators giving the recommendations of vocal variety, grammatical devices like usage of metaphors and everything. But the speaker is coming on the stage for the first time. It's an icebreaker speech. You don't do that to a speaker who's coming for the first time. See the objective of the project and craft or evaluation per the objective. And it is important that you go to the speaker before the meeting. Ask the speaker what specific the speaker wants to improve. Because as an evaluator, what we initially seen that we need to elevate the speaker. We need to give value to the speaker. And when the person wants to improve in body language and you give all the recommendations about tone, pitch, and grammatical devices, it's not going to be useful. And the next time the speaker would not consider your evaluation as worthy as you feel it is. So take care of the project objectives. Next. Now coming to how. So many of you might be aware the sandwich approach of giving an evaluation, that is CRC. But I like the picture of this hamburger, so I put it hamburger. And this one I had seen for the first time in the session of another great speaker who had given me the evaluation insights. So the evaluation should be like this. The attention grabbing opening, just like a speech, it has to be an attention grabbing opening. Second part, which is in between, the most juicy part, should be the content. That might be, there are two options and there might be many options, but I use these two options, that is CRCS or CRS. That means commendation, recommendation, commendation, and summary. And sometimes when we don't have time or we want to cut short our evaluation, commendation, recommendation, and summary. Most of the evaluators forget about this summary, which is the most important part. Because when you started at first second, people might not have recollected what you said. But a summary will give much better understanding and much recall value to the speaker and to the audience. And the last one, just like the speech, a powerful close. So it is also like a speech, an opening and body and conclusion. But in body, it has to be commendation, recommendation, balanced well. Remember, you need to elevate your speaker. You need to encourage your speaker to come on the stage again and again. Do not have so many recommendations and very few commendations. A good rule is 3-2. That is 3 commendations, 2 recommendations. But some evaluators use 3-3. That is 3 commendation, 3 recommendation. And when you give the recommendation and commendation, yes, Mike, I think you raised your hand.
Oh, yes. So I just want, I'm curious to know, could you please give us an example of attention grabbing opening for evaluation?
Yes, sure. So what you can do as an evaluator, you pick up the line, the key message or the phrase which has been repeated again and again from the speech. For example, if someone has given, just like our president has said, following your heart, then you can start with that same line. You can twist it with a quote which is similar to that. Or you can pick up the title of the speech, or you can say how you relate to that particular speech or the topic or the key message. Because when you do that, people's attention will come to you. For example, when you start that today I'm going, the first mistake which speaker and evaluator in my opinion does that, they greet Toastmaster, general evaluator, guests on the first few 10-20 seconds. And that in my opinion is a crime, because those 10-20 seconds are your chance to hook your audience. So use the speaker's lines, use a quote of this which is related to the speech, use something which has impacted you. For example, as an evaluator, you might come on the stage that today Toastmaster Vidushi has given us a lesson to follow our heart. I sometimes miss to follow this advice, but thanks for reminding us that we always need to follow our heart. Something like that. The speech will give you that opening, but you need to keep your eyes open that what can be used as an opening. I think that gives somewhat the answer. And I advise you all, whenever we have today the speech section, not only the evaluator, but be an evaluator for all the speakers and see how you will do as an evaluator as opposed to a dedicated evaluator does. So you can see how you are doing. Be an evaluator in all the meetings. Play an evaluator in all the speeches, whether you have taken the speech evaluator role or not. And that's how the practice will give you the grip on evaluation. Next. Now, these are few things which I would like to highlight. The first thing which I want to tell is be specific. We all need to be very specific what you want to say. As I said, don't give very generic idea and generic recommendations. Give with the examples from the speech. Be specific with the examples. Tell them why it is a recommendation. When you say that, you could have paused. Tell that what happens if the person doesn't pause. Tell that you could have paused so that we could have digested that profound sentence. We could have digested the importance of that sentence. We could have remained intact and connected to your speech. And tell them how it can be improved. Not in words, but show them. When you say that you could have improved your facial expression, show them at what particular time the impression could have been better and how the speaker can improve. If someone is crossing the time limit, tell them that you record your speech by reading a book paragraph for 1 minute. That would give you your word per minute count. And that's how you adjust your word count of the speech. So that's how you give the recommendation, because you need to tell why it was a recommendation, how it can be improved, and what specifically needs to be improved. And at the last, deliver like a speech and not a performance. As I said, that there are some speakers who do theatrical arts, but we are not there for that. We are there to give the value to the speaker and value to the audience. So give it as a speech and not a performance. Next. Now, when you are in a contest or when you are in a club meeting, do we have 5 minutes time, Vidushi?
Yes, Chintan, I think you can cover that.
Yep. So I want all of you, do all of you have a pen nearby or a paper nearby? Pen and paper?
Yep.
Yeah. Sure. So you do one thing. You make quadrant of a paper or divide them. With the pen, you put a quadrant. There are 4 boxes. Divide your page into 4 boxes. Because this is something people ask. After listening to the speech, we have so many notes that we don't know where to start and where to end. And sometimes we cannot read our own handwriting because we have written in a way that even doctor can't read. So have you made a 4-box quadrant? In the left topmost box, write C. That is for commendation. On the right top, you write R. In the left bottom, you write C. On the right bottom, you write S. on the top of the box, you write opening, and at the bottom of the box, you write closure or conclusion. Now you have a tool. When you listen to the speech, jot down the opening part on the top, commendation, recommendation, commendation, summary, and conclusion. And as I have mentioned here, that write during the speech neatly, because at the end of the speech, you need to go on the stage and read that particular piece of paper. Always use the bullet points, and whenever you want to write more, make a quadrant small, and in the downside of the page or on the back of the page, there is a lot of space where you can write more sentences. But after writing more long elaborative sentences, you fit it into the box, into the bullet point. So when you go on the stage, you have the quadrant ready with opening, commendation, recommendation, commendation, summary, and conclusion. Try it, because it has worked for me, it has worked for many, and this is something I have learned from, I don't know how many of you have seen the world champion speeches. This is something being used by Verity Price, who has been world champion in 2022. And it's been followed by many, not only her. So try it when you give an evaluation, try to fit your points into those boxes. And when you go on the stage, try to see how you improved. And the next time, when it's a process, no one can give you a magical formula. We all need to adjust. Sometimes you need to make your own box. Sometimes you need to enhance this particular tool. But to start with, it is a great tool. That's what I can say. Next thing I want to tell is take care of the timing. You have only 2 to 3 minutes time. And it is a good general rule, which is followed by many, that when you see the green card, you start with your recommendation. Sometimes we are so engrossed in opening and commendation that when we come to recommendation, we have only 1 minute left, or maybe 30 seconds left. So that's where your CRS approach would be useful, that you give commendation, recommendation, skip that commendation part again, and you directly go to summary and give the conclusion. So you need to adjust as per the situation, per the speech. And at the last, the most important thing in my opinion, always evaluate the speech, not the speaker. This is not an opportunity to play the ego battle, to take the revenge of the person who's giving the speech. No matter who that person is, keep that things, your feelings aside, and give the evaluation on the speech, not the speaker. And this mistake I have seen in few cases, and it literally destroys the speaker and an evaluator. Because once you have that mentality of taking revenge on the speaker, you don't know, in the contest, you might be an evaluator to the speaker, or you might be a speaker to an evaluator. And if the person follows the same formula of taking revenge, then you will understand what you have done. So never evaluate the speaker, always evaluate the speech. The next, please. Yep, that's it. That's the end of my slides. And thank you for being a wonderful audience. I would like to take 2 minutes of maybe, questions if you have, or anything you would like to comment on this session. And we can give back the stage to our president.
I would like to say one thing, Chintan. At the starting of the speech, you told us that if you are a great evaluator, then you will be a great speaker. First of all, I think how these both things are means connected with each other. But now, after listening to your presentation, it's beautifully you explain the role of an evaluator, and now I can relate that being a good evaluator, how definitely it helps in being a good speaker as well. So thank you.
Thank you. It was the same mentality for me. I wanted to be a speaker, but I was never giving my name as an evaluator. But when I started giving my name as an evaluator, I understood the speech mechanics, because we dissect the speech as an evaluator. And when you sit with your speech draft, you remember that that speaker had done this and I don't want to do this, or that speaker had done this and I loved it, I would do it. And that's how you become a better speaker. Anyone else? So I hope you liked the session, and thanks a lot. It's been great to be here at Eloquent. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster Vidushi.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chintan, for sharing your knowledge. First of all, a huge round of applause for Toastmaster Chintan. You have indeed activated an evaluator in all of us, and we all will surely use the knowledge and tricks you have shared with us in the evaluations we take up going forward. So thank you for taking our time.